brought to you by Knights of Awakening. This is the Labyrinth. And this one is probably going to wind up on KOA's primary channel as well as on the Labyrinth, because it does have to do with some nightly topics, at least to a degree. Today we're going to cover the topics of honor and dignity, as well as the nature of people talking behind each other's back, and why it isn't any of your business what someone thinks about you, as well as the nature of human psychology as it's involved in all of this. So, let us start out with this core topic, why it isn't any of your business what the world thinks about you. And what I mean by that is not necessarily what they really think about you, but what people say about you behind your back. Not only is it not your business, it's not useful to you. What most people forget when they're dealing with any situation where something has been said about them, behind their back or partially behind their back, is that generally it wasn't meant for their ears. It's something hurtful. It's probably something meant to vent or get rid of steam or get rid of emotional hangings on. And part of that is that we have to work together and interact with each other to achieve things in this world. If you don't believe that, then your ego is in the way. And most people's egos are in the way. And hell, I'm a Norseman. My ego is usually in the way. But with that in mind, why isn't it any of your business? And why should you not care? When people talk about you behind your back, that means you've made an emotional impression on them, probably a negative one, at some point. And they are, unless it is foul play that they're plotting, likely just trying to blow off steam, especially if they have things to say about you in the context of your character or your personality. If a person really thinks that poorly of you, they won't associate with you. So what you're getting is a very aggrandized version of your negative self. And this is what people really don't realize when someone talks about them behind their back. Oh, that person really thinks that about me. No, they don't. They're pissed at you at that moment. You've done something to cause them stress, or they have taken something you have done, and it has become a stress point for them because of their own decision to interpret it a certain way. And now they have went to a friend of theirs, possibly a mutual friend, possibly someone they never expected to get back to you through. And they're communicating to this other person their anger, their hostility, their issues with you. But they're not really issues with you. See, if they were issues with you, then they would come to you directly on it. Now, I need to find someone I can use as an example in my own life on this. So I'm going to take someone I know is strong enough to deal with this on the air in a way. I'm going to use Justin Bain as my model on this, okay? Well, before I go any further, the reason I'm using Justin is because I can't remember ever talking badly about him behind his back. And maybe that's not true. You know, maybe people have vented to me about him, but if they have, it's been so long ago that I don't have memory of it clear enough to even talk on that as a point. Justin is upstanding, and I don't really remember him talking bad about someone behind their back in a way that he wouldn't to their face, or hasn't to their face. Generally speaking, usually by the time it gets to a conversation with me and him, he's already kind of laid the smackdown down on somebody. So, using him as an example, because I trust that his shoulders are big enough to deal with this. Let's say, and obviously you see what I think of Justin just in the way I've described him in this. The fact that if you're listening and you know me, you probably can't remember a time when I've had something bad to say about the man should kind of reinforce my point. But let's just go with some idea. We'll say he's arrogant, okay? It's not really. I mean, he's actually fairly humble. But he's played arrogant before to prove a point. So we'll say that he's arrogant one day. And I feel he's so goddamn arrogant that I need to go and I pull, who am I going to go to? I'll go to Alethea. There. I'll go to Alethea and be like, Allie, Justin is the most arrogant bastard on the face of the planet. He's even more arrogant than me. Now, do I really feel that way at that moment? After the insult that's paid, whatever the insult is? Probably not. You know, maybe he makes a comment, you know, that, you know, he's looked at our Norse community and he thinks it's a bunch of pussies with beards. There, okay? And I get pissed at him about it, right? So I go to Allie and then I think, now, is that my real view of him at that moment? If I start calling him names and I take any flaws that I can find, and man, I picked the wrong person because he doesn't have a lot of flaws in my mind, but I take any flaws and I magnify them. Now, is that my view of Justin then? No, that's my view at the moment of the caricature of Justin. Because I've got to take and vent about this caricature to get it out of my system. Now, what's going to happen when me and Allie connect on this? Well, she's going to follow the psychological components that friends follow. She's either going to try to calm me down, but most people don't do that. Know what she's going to do, instead of talking to a point of reason, most likely, if she's like most people. And again, bad choices, because Allie might try to talk me down, especially with the people I'm accusing to use for this. I got some broad-shouldered people to work with. It makes my life a lot easier. But let's say she's like most people. She's going to buy into it too, to help me vent, to help get it out of my system. Well, now we're going to go what I call a little hate circle. And I call it a hate circle because as it comes around, each time it gets a little bit stronger, a little bit faster. So, you know, first he's arrogant, and then, you know, well, then he's an ugly bastard with bad breath who smells funny. Well, never met the man in person, never been in the same room with him, so that's a hell of a character. That's a hell of an analysis there. But it will build up. The minor negatives are going to become major negatives when it's all said and done. And that's not how you're viewing the person. You start out with getting angry and venting that. So your mind grasps on the worst negative qualities and it exemplifies them in the biggest way. Why is it no business of that person? Because truth be told, using the Justin example, I don't think that way about him. I think he's one of the best men out there. And if someone is close enough to be a true friend to me, then generally I have some amazing respect for them as a human being. I have very, very few true friends. I can count him among them. That's why I use him as this example. Because as part of the KOA, I know he won't mind me using him as an example. And because as someone I've known long enough to know, like I said, how big the shoulders are and how much they can take. So, you know, if he's a friend of mine and he's an active friend, someone that I really want to be a part of my life and that I worry about when bad things happen, obviously I don't see him in all these negative lights. If I did, then I wouldn't be his friend. Okay? There are people I see in a negative light. I'm not going to name names, but it becomes really clear how I see people outside of those people whose lives are as busy as mine and we get removed and we lose touch because of it, okay? There are people like that too. You know, and that's sad, and you may be in that group as a friend of mine and be wondering if you're, you know, in the other group of people I don't like. If I try to make contact with you at all, and it just doesn't work out, that means you're not in the group of people I don't like. There's a long list of people I do not contact in a day, and it gets bigger all the time. It's great, really. And because of that, you don't need to know, though, what a person says about you behind your back, because they're not talking about you. They're talking about the image of you that they need to vent about. They're talking about that moment. And they've got to get it out of their system. Because if they don't, it will break them. It will crush them emotionally. They've got to vent. You don't need to know. It does nothing for your friendship or your connection to them. Because that's not how they see you. What someone says to someone else is not your problem. It wasn't your problem when they got hurt that caused it. It wasn't your problem that they care enough to be your friend and therefore haven't just told you to fuck off. So it's not your problem when they have to vent to deal with whatever the stresses are. That's just how it is. And it's a point of maturity you come to over the years to realize this. I have a lot of friends that I've went down this road with. I've had a lot of falling outs and connecting togethers and everything in this. And, you know, I have a lot of friends that I've survived these kind of things with because we realized that whatever was said in private was never meant for each other's ears, and it wasn't meant that way, or it wasn't meant at the degree of harshness. That we were angry, and anger fuels the way you see things. How many times have I said anger is not a good power source or a fuel? You think maybe I got something yet? As your peaceful Norseman here, at least up until I need to be something else than peaceful? The Havamal is a book of simple wisdom. And this is one of the simplest wisdoms ever. As soon as you open your mouth, as soon as you say things and don't know everything to what is going on in any situation, you make a fool of yourself. As soon as you know what someone thinks about you behind your back, as it were, well, you know what they vent about. But your mind is going to tag on to the worst of that. So, here's how it works. This is the golden truth of the universe for you, right from the lips of the man himself. If someone is your friend, and they've chosen to be your friend, and they have stood by you or are standing by you, what they have to say about you when you're not there is part of their coping mechanisms. And what you have to say about them, funny thing, right? They don't need to know about it either. But the caveat on this is if it is something that is a plot or a plan or a disruption, at which point then it kind of is your business if you find out. At which point you need to take it and be aware that, you know, someone is, you know, putting you through the paces to do something. At that point, yeah, you do need to know. But when it's a vent, and a vent is real simple. Is it emotionally charged? Oh my, if it is, then it must be a vent. I shouldn't have to do episodes on things like this. People should be self-aware enough, looking inward enough on a daily basis, that this never gets addressed in society. That it should be just part of it. But we're not. We live in a culture of cell phones and internet and computer, everything, video games, and the result is this needs addressed because it affects thousands of people every day. Now, what about honor on this? You know, I swear to this day, I think Star Trek has influenced the perception of the Norse with the Klingons more than the comic book Thor has. Because I feel that honor is a big part of what it means to be Norse, but every time I open my word about honor, every time I open my mouth about the word honor, I swear people yell Kapla and they raise bat lefts and they start singing songs to Kalis. And if you didn't get those references, you don't know what a Klingon is, and you won't get the rest of the references, so whatever. That's not Norse. Honor in the Norse was really determined by the tribes and where you were at and what you did and what you got away with. Just like it is today. Honor was victory. Honor was in winning. Odin favors the victor. There's your honor. But Thor favors the compassionate, the common man, and shows compassion even when angry. So there's your honor too. Honor's a personal thing. It doesn't apply to everyone in the same way. My honor is not going to be your honor. Your honor is not going to be my honor. But it should mean something to you. It should be enough that you die for it, at least. Better yet, it should be enough that you live for your honor, whatever that means. So, within that, you can't look at, to rewind and connect what this has to do with honor, because we need to express that first. Whenever someone hears that they've been talked about behind their back, they yell, "Dishonorable!" And I swear, like I said, more Klingon than Norse, more Klingon than Knight, more Klingon than Celtic, more Klingon than Wizardish or Sorcerish, more Klingon than anything. Okay, we as a people have really, Gene Roddenberry had something. Okay, we've got this idea that honor means this, and you know, if that's what your honor code is like, so long as you're upholding it too, and you never ever talk about anyone behind their back, that's great. But if you do, then you should probably kill yourself at that point. You no longer have honor. You know, go get redeemed quickly. Or recognize that that's not your honor code. Recognize that you're hurt. And hurt people, they react. These are simple lessons. And this isn't under the Labyrinth heading because they're important. For your spiritual awareness, for who you are, for what you're going to be and what you're going to do in your life, they're important. It is necessary to understand this about yourself. Otherwise, you're going to spend your whole life running around chasing the dragons behind your back that aren't there. Now, I know Charles McBride is an arrogant, brash, prideful bastard who doesn't train hard enough and eats too much and is lazy and worthless. And I'm sure that these things have been said behind my back at some point. I don't care to know about them because they're said in moments of anger. They're said when people are not happy with me. You know, anything anyone has to say to me that's of value, they'll bring to my face. And if they're seeking out companionship and friendship with me, they obviously don't think that of me. Unless they're stupid. If you do honestly think that badly of someone, though, and you're making a point to be their friend or to connect with them, then you're a moron. Because why would you connect to someone that you see in that way? There's no possible benefit. No matter what they could do for you, if you see them in such a bad light, it wouldn't be worth the cost. You could do anything they could do yourself. If they're a mechanic and you need to get in good with them to get your car fixed, it would take you less to learn to be a mechanic. It really would. So, that's my take on this. On, you know, what it means to look at what's being said about you behind your back. What it means to have honor and dignity. And whether or not this is even considered part of it. Even though Justin is not here, I want to thank him for his name being one that I could use in here. And I want to do the same for Alethea. Obviously, I expect these people have very big shoulders that I can bring them up in these capacities and know that they're not going to take any offense to it, which shows you what I think of them. It shows how much I honor their friendship and what I think of them as people. I used their names because their names I suspect will be readily available to anyone who watches the Knights of Awakening. And because, like I said, I know they can take it. I've got a lot of friends I could have used that I know could take it as placeholders for these concepts. But even if they're not here, I want to thank them for being the kind of people that I can use for this. You know, end of the day, you're going to have friends that you don't always agree with. You're going to have fights, and things are going to get said behind your back, and way better that they are. Because when it's said behind your back, that means they really didn't mean it. They really didn't feel that way about you, that they needed to vent at that moment about what they were perceiving. And that means that they are your friend. They see you in a good light. They have a value for you as a person. Now, if they're coming to your face with that, and it's not, you know, let me help you correct this flaw, but it's more, you know, you sorry son of a, you know, and everything else that follows it, then they're not your friend. They don't see you in a light very positive, and it's a good thing that the friendship can end in that way. We all make it hard to be friends with each other in this world. We all make it hard to have allies and family and all of those things. But the world runs just a little bit better when you don't care what is said about you behind your back. So, for the Labyrinth, for the Knights of Awakening, I am Charles McBride. I don't care what you're saying about me behind my back. But I do care to help you awaken the night within.